Ray Wright, I'm teacher for the blind, and I teach woodshop. When it comes to life skills, I hope that they gain confidence, most importantly in my class. If they can learn how to use a table saw or a lathe or any of the other hand or power tools with the lights off and the training shades on, they can do anything. Operating the equipment is something that is kind of out of the norm. And I know when I was a student here, that when I went home and I said, yeah, I learned Braille, I learned cane travel, I learned how to cook and clean, I learned talking computers. All my friends said, yeah, you're supposed to do that. But when I said, oh, I made this in woodshop, they're like, what? No way, you're not supposed to be able to do that. I'm totally blind, I have no light perception. So everything I do by feel. When I teach with my hands down and the student's hands on top of mine. We go through the motion of what we're doing. And then once the student can tell what we're doing, where to put your hands, where not to put your hands, then I go ahead and we switch places and I put my hands on top of the students and we do dry runs, practice in that. And then we turn on the saw or whatever equipment, make the cuts. And then once we're done with that, they feel confident, I feel confident, I'll back off, they'll set it up, I'll double check to make sure everything's all safe, and then they make the cuts. There's nothing especially modified for the blind. Any equipment like you would buy at Home Depot or Lowe's or any good hardware store. The only special tool we use is this one in my hand, and this is called the click rule, and this is used for measuring. So from the front of this threaded rod to this front stop is 6 inches, and from this front stop to this back stop is 6 inches. These raised lines along the top are 1/2 inch apart, and these grooves on the side are a 1/16 inch apart. So with this, we can measure accurately to a 1/16 of an inch by feel. First project the students make are Braille blocks, or also they could make a practice block like this or a tic-tac-toe board. And with this, they learn how to use the click rule and how to measure and mark and their lines. Since we can't see, we don't use a pencil. We have to use a scratch-all and scratch the lines in and that. And then they'll use the drill press, which is the first power tool that they use to drill the holes. And this represents a Braille cell with each peg representing a Braille dot. Second project the students make is a cutting board. And with this, they learn how to use the compound miter saw, the table saw, the joiner, the planer, the shaper, the drum sander, most of all the big equipment in here. Also learn how to glue and clamp their wood, how to cut it. So tactily, you can feel which strips are which, so you don't get two of the same species glued together. And then I call this an adaptive cutting board. So it's a regular cutting board this way, but if you have trouble with boundaries or stuff rolling off, or if you're cutting, I don't know, onions or something around, you can flip it upside down, and now you have borders to cut in between. So that kind of helps. And then what I do at home is when I'm cutting, if I set my knife down to go get something, I don't want to come back and find the blade first. So I'll take the knife and slide it underneath the tray or underneath the cutting board. So then when I come back, I can find the board first, find the handle, pull it out, and go ahead and continue to chop. Third project the students make, writing pens, and these are done on the lathe. So these are wooden shaft ballpoint pens, and the students make a couple of those. And then the fourth and final project the students make is of their choice. So we've had people make bowls, vases, lamps, coffee tables, end tables, nightstand, bookcases, blanket chests, hope chests, jewelry boxes, lightsabers, skateboards, dog houses. If I'm not in the room, there's no power. I have a switch where I can shut all the power off to the room. But as far as when the student's in here, I go through the safety, like I explained, with my hands on theirs on mine, and that until I know they're capable of doing it. And if a student wants me to double check to make sure that they're setup is right and everything is good, I'll do that. Bend your fingers there. Keep it there. There you go. Now go ahead and push. Keep pushing a little bit more. Confidence that they gain, that's a huge quality of life builder. You know, just being able to say I made this and having people come up and if it's something, I always like to have the final project to be something that they will use once they leave here. My goals are for their projects to be good enough to give as a gift or good enough to sell. I want it to be professional looking. I've had many students leave here and go on and get interested in woodworking, or even to be able to discuss woodworking with their father or grandfather or husband or wife or somebody else. It gives them their life back. The definition of rehab to me is to put one back where they were before. And if I can do that, and somebody that was used to making things and got rid of all their tools because they figured they can't make anything anymore, and then to go and start making gifts and stuff for their grandkids and fixing up their house and whatever, even though they're retired, that is just awesome to me.